And welcome back to Adobe Developers Live Content and Commerce. This session is going to be with Naomi Robichaud, and she's going to be talking about how Amazon Sales Channel uses Commerce UI and event-driven extensibility tool. Go ahead, Naomi.
Hi, Russell. Thanks so much for that introduction. I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. I'm Naomi Robichaud. I'm a senior PM at Adobe Commerce. And today I'm going to be talking about Amazon Sales Channel. This is a flagship reference app for Adobe Commerce developers, and it shows how App Builder can be used to extend Adobe Commerce. And so I know what you're thinking. Wow, what a gorgeous slide. And I know. But it's a shame because you're not going to be seeing any more of my beautiful PowerPoint skills today. I'm going to go through this quick slide and we're going to get right into some live demonstration. But first, let me set the scene a little bit here. So, for the sake of this demonstration, I'm a developer. I work for a merchant who's rapidly expanding their business selling cat figurines. I promise this will come in later, and so they make these cat figurines, they sell them on their site powered by Adobe Commerce. And their customers are really interested in buying on Amazon. So in order to do that, they need to take their web presence through Adobe Commerce and continuously synchronize those products and that information to listings on Amazon Seller Central. So in order to do that, we'll be using App Builder today. And so I'm really going to be talking about two key technologies. The first one, IO events, for listening to changes on Adobe Commerce and continuously updating Amazon Seller Central, and UI extensibility capabilities for providing those custom application admin UIs. So I'm going to start here. In the live demonstration, we'll go into Adobe Commerce, talk through how that UI is powered using our admin UI SDK. We'll go into a bit more of the events that we're listening to for this publish and subscribe architecture. And then we'll go into really where the magic happens, which is App Builder, to show up where those events land, what we do with them, and how they are used to continuously synchronize products and product information to Amazon Seller Central. So the point of all of this is to show off our vision for extensibility. That's why we're here today, is to take this representative use case and show you how you can use App Builder to extend and integrate with Adobe Commerce. So I'll be talking through best practice guides, open source code, and documentation that was all created as a part of building this reference app. And so what we want to offer you is more value, less headaches, and a better future for merchants and developers as they customize and extend Adobe Commerce. So I'm going to take a sip of water. If you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. Thank you to my moderator, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So I'm here in the Adobe Commerce admin panel. And you can see the first thing I'm going to do is go into this left-hand navigation panel, and I'm going to find Amazon Sales Channel on App Builder. So this is the application that we're talking about today. And what's important here is not too much the what, but the how. Because App Builder can be used for CRM integrations, for connecting to your ERP, for making sure that your search algorithm is continuously up to date. Amazon Sales Channel is just one of those use cases that you can build using App Builder. So what I'm going to do here is just show off a little bit of the integration UI. So you can see that I can provide a commerce website to be used here. I can add my store name, and then I can do some of the typical things that you want to do with integrating Adobe Commerce. So I'm mapping attributes between systems, being able to get the synchronization, the transform, the logical mappings correct. I can also add my credentials to Amazon Seller Central. So we can secure and encrypt the communication between Adobe Commerce and Amazon Seller Central so that you are correctly and securely doing that integration between these two systems. But what's more interesting than this actual UI is what powers it. So if I go in here and I inspect the element, what I can find is that this custom app UI is actually injected via iframe to Adobe Commerce. So what's happening here is we are not adding weight to the Adobe Commerce core. Rather, what we're doing is adding extension points to Adobe Commerce so you can inject your custom app UI into the admin console, providing that consistent user experience, that administrator experience without increasing the cost of upgrades, increasing your total cost of ownership, making it easy to upgrade, to test, and to provide these custom app UIs for whatever your integration may require. So this admin UI SDK, we released it this summer, and it solves a pretty common problem for an app developer. They want their admins to be able to, manage settings, check logs, see updates, whether it's for a channel integration, a CRM integration, whatever it may be. They want to support that consistent user experience. The Admin UI SDK allows you to do that without adding weight directly to the Adobe Commerce core. So I can build tons of different app UIs here. This is just one example of how we're doing it. We've got internal teams using this for Gen AI projects, for integrations across Adobe, and AEM uses the same framework, the same base technologies to do their UI extensibility as well. So it's really a better together story with Adobe. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out just for the sake of demo, and we'll get into the next segment, which is really all about events. And when we talk about events, what we're really talking about fundamentally is change. When I'm doing integrations between Adobe Commerce and other systems, what I want to be able to do is capture change and create logic around those changes so I can react to them in near real time. So let's go ahead and pick out one of my favorite events, and the event we'll be talking through for the sake of this demonstration today. So I'm going to go to catalog product save after. This is my favorite event. It's the one we'll be talking through for our cat story demonstration today. And so, what we're using here as a technology is Adobe IO events. What these allow you to do is build reactive, event driven applications. So, Creative Cloud, Adobe Analytics, and several other Adobe products use the same mechanism as a push mechanism for creating publish and subscribe architectures. And what we've done here, we released this in January of this year, is uh, add Adobe Commerce into the folds there so that you can use these events as a trigger to build cloud native app builder applications. And so we allow you to leverage everything that happens in the back office in the form of an event. So everything in the API namespace. So for our sake, this is when a product is created or updated or price is updated, but you can also listen to things like, has an order been shipped? Has my customer been created or changed? Has a refund been requested? So every time those things happen, I can use those to power my integration and build logic based off of it, not just not in the Adobe Commerce Core, but rather using App Builder serverless functions. And I'll get to that in just a second. What I want you to be paying attention here is the actual payload of the event. So you can see we can send the category, when this change happened, what type of product is this? We can send a variety of information. This is all configurable for you at a developer level. And this is an event, or this is a list of all of these possible events. There's well over 700 of them. And this actual list is generated by your install. So it's custom to your actual implementation, which I think is really cool. So we already have this event configured. And then what I'm going to do for this demonstration is I'm going to go to one of these cat figurines. I told you it would come in later. And I'm going to go ahead and change the price. So for my use case, we want to make sure we're selling the same product for the same price, no matter what channel we're selling on. So, doesn't look like the Fed is going to raise rates for the rest of this year. But say I'm a little bit hawkish on inflation. I want to raise the price of this cat figurine here. And I want to make sure that when I'm updating it on the Adobe Commerce side, I'm updating this also on the Amazon Seller Central side. You can substitute Seller Central for Google Shopping, for whatever feeds you may require. And the same use case goes for updating customers, orders, all different types of integrations you can think of. So we actually just fired this event when we saved the product. And now what we're going to do is go in and see where that event is actually going. So I'm going to switch over from the Adobe Commerce admin panel into Adobe Developer Console. I'm going to go ahead and select this project, Amazon Sales Channel, and I'm going to go into one of my specific workspaces. And what I can see is that event that we just talked about, Catalog Product Save After, if you view it here, is registered as an event in this project. I'm not going to go too heavy into the uh, IO events functionality because Kanika Jara will be giving a presentation on this later today. But for the sake of our use case, let's talk about this event. So, what we did here, this internal team that built out this app, is also used these events to trigger logic. So, let's go ahead and just take a look. So, IO events supports journaling right out of the box. So, I can go ahead and I can pull from an API to see all of my events. So, just going through, you can see the payload of this event. This is from a while ago. This is the earliest of my journaling API, but you can see that product that we just talked about, the Lucky Cat Blue Eraser, is in the payload of this event. You can see the price that it was changed to, the quantity that it was sold at. This gives you all of the information you need to build your integration and make sure that Amazon Seller Central is updated or whatever system you want to update. So I have a journaling API so that I can pull these events when they occur. But really, for the sake of this integration, is we want near real time. So journaling gives us a really nice bit of resiliency, but we want to be able to create near real time logic to react to those events. So what we did was we actually created a runtime action. This is a serverless action, not unlike an AWS Lambda, that allows us to configure it to be attached to the event. So you can see the actual runtime action here. And when I go into my debug tracing, I can actually see the event that we just fired. So I can go into the payload. And when I look here, we can see that the price was changed to 11.55, which is the price that we just changed on the commerce side. And now we can use this to react to the event. So I can also filter out these traces. This is the developer experience for registering these events and connecting them to my business logic. So I can see the response here. And what I'll actually do in this demonstration is show the code of this runtime action on GitHub. So you can see the registration details. Here's the name of that action. When I flip over to GitHub here, this is the repo that we have for Amazon Sales Channel. It will all be linked in the slides that we send out after this. This is fully open source. We wanted to publish this so that all of our adopters would have a really great flagship reference app to use for understanding how to leverage App Builder to extend Adobe Commerce and best practices. So I can see here is one of my actions written in TypeScript. We can process the actual event, leverage the information in it, and then use that to update Amazon Seller Central. So you can see here how a change that originates in Adobe Commerce is received by App Builder. We build a custom logic based on that event, and then we can update whatever system that we need to based off of the payload of those events. So in this way, you can build near real-time integrations from commerce to third-party systems without introducing additional weight to the Adobe Commerce core. So you can benefit from lower total cost of ownership, faster time to value, easier upgrades, easier ability to test, and this prescriptive developer framework called App Builder that allows you to build the next generation of these extensions and these integrations with Adobe Commerce. So to sum it all up, this was a demonstration of our sample reference app. It's one of the many types of integrations that you can use using Adobe IO events using our admin UI SDK. Your imagination is the only limiting factor here for how you can leverage this suite of technologies to build out those integrations and extensions. So what we did is not only, do these types of events with App Builder, but also to provide the code itself and demonstrations online so you can reference them into perpetuity. You can see our technical overview here, which goes into a little bit more of the backend development process, the architecture that we chose. You can also see the functional demonstration for going through a little bit more of the application experience. And you can leverage all of these other tutorials that we've created. I think we have over 28 different tutorials for getting started using events, using our API mesh, using UI extensibility. We've got additional sample applications. And then if I just switch over here to Amazon Sales Channel, we also have our developer docs. We've got our prerequisites that are needed for using this integration. You can install it yourself. And you can also see some of the best practices that this internal development team, as they were building out this flagship representation, you can see the best practices that they came up with, from logging and troubleshooting to how we did database storage to how we actually managed the credentials for connecting to Amazon Seller Central. So overall, what I just showed off was Amazon Sales Channel on App Builder. It's a flagship reference app that we built internally. It uses IO events for Adobe Commerce and our admin UI SDK. And it does one of these common use cases that requires integrating with a third party system, synchronizing your product catalog, and building a custom app UI without adding weight to the Commerce core. So with that, I will pause and I think we can go into a little bit more of the Q&A, or we can wrap up here in terms of this presentation. So thanks so much for your time today. And yeah, thanks for your interest in App Builder and extending Adobe Commerce.
Really good talk, Naomi. Thank you. Yeah, I just checked. I didn't see any active questions that weren't already answered. So with that, we will probably just go ahead and stop a few minutes early. I wanted to remind everybody our next session is going to be building low code and event driven Adobe Commerce integrations and applications running on AWS. That'll be starting in about 15 minutes or so. But Naomi, thank you so much. And everybody have a great day.